So, good morning, one and all, on this lovely Saturday morning. I, Dr. Shalini Gautam, Associate Professor DME, would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you in this very important webinar. I'm sure today in the newspapers, you all must have seen the reports that many of the DU colleges are expecting to have 100% cutoff again in many of the courses. The kind of pressure which the students like you are facing in choosing the right course and right college is immense. Therefore, it is imperative for the students to know the alternative career options today. Keeping all these things in mind, today in this webinar, we are going to talk about the various career options that a student would have when he opts for the Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, which is an A-grade state university. Before we start, I would like to welcome Ms. Shashi Sharma ma'am, Principal PNN Mohan Public School. She is a learned academician with more than 15 years of experience. She has got various appreciation certificates from CBSE and ICRTC. She has also been awarded by Bharat Vikas Parishad for excellence in educational field. We welcome you, ma'am. I would also like to welcome our resource person for today, Professor Dr. Ravikant Swami sir, Director DME. Sir has over 24 years of experience in teaching and administration and holds a PhD degree from University of Rajasthan. Before sir starts with his presentation, I would like to request Shashi ma'am to say a few words to us. Over to you, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. And thanks for welcoming Shalini Gautam ma'am. And it's a nice experience for me. My students are just under the guidance of Mr. Ravikant Swamiji. And definitely he'll share good future opportunities to my kids so they can take good decisions to achieve their goals in their life. And it's a great pleasure. Welcome, sir. And highly obliged my students are getting this nice opportunity. Thank you very much. And you can start your session. Thank you very much.
Yes, over to you, sir. You can start with your presentation, sir.
Okay, I will straight away share my screen. So, audience, the objective of this webinar at the outset must be clarified, and the objective is to provide you straight, genuine, and authentic information about a university called Guru Gobind Singh IP University, which is run by the government of Delhi. So let us start with the photograph of this. Now, this university is located in Dwarka, but it has got affiliated colleges, around 90, which are spread throughout Delhi and NCR. Now, this is a short presentation. So in the coming 25 minutes, I'm going to cover 5 things. What are those 5 things? First is about the university. Second is what are the courses, and then the admission process, the fee structures, and lastly, the career scope after professional courses which are run by this university. Now, we'll start with the first thing about Guru Gobind Singh University. So, as soon as Delhi became a partial state, this was the first university to be established in 1998. Now, let us talk about the ranking of this university. In our country, there are 4 kinds of universities. First is the central university, like JNU or Jamia or Banaras Hindu University or Aligarh Muslim University. These are the central universities. Second category is the state universities, like CCS University, which has colleges in Ghaziabad, like any college near your school is affiliated by CCS, Chaudhary Charan Singh University, then IP University. So these are state government universities. The third category is private universities, and fourth is deemed universities. When we take all these four categories together, the number is 875. Now let us see what is the ranking of IPU among these 875 universities. Now before I tell you the ranking, now ranking is a very confusing and controversial area, because there are so many bodies which are ranking educational institutions. We find rankings by India Today, by Times of India, so on and so forth. And I can tell you these rankings are little controversial. I cannot tell you the reasons why these rankings are controversial, but yes, anyone who gives a huge ad in a magazine gets a brilliant ranking by that magazine. As simple as that. Now, those rankings I am not going to discuss in this presentation, because those rankings are, I'll put, say, quote unquote, controversial. Now, NIRF is a body run by HRD Ministry. We call it National Institutional Ranking Framework. The rankings given by NIRF are considered to be very authentic, and the latest ranking of IP University is 95th among these 875 universities. Now, let us put it in another way. 95th, can I say that IPU stands among the top 10% or 11% universities in this country? Yes, I can put it like that. About courses, NIRF also provides rankings to specific courses. So in engineering, the rank is 86th, which is among the top 10%. For management courses like BBA or MBA, the ranking is 57th, which means among the top 5%. There is another government body whose grading is considered authentic, that is NAC, and the NAC grading of IPU is A. Whenever a student does any degree from any country and goes to any other country for higher degree, there's a question mark sometimes about the authenticity of the degree. So there is something called AIU, which means Association of Indian Universities. If any university is member of AIU, it simply means that the degree of that university is recognized by every other university on this earth. So IP University being run by Delhi government, of course, Delhi government is a prominent government in this country. So it has got AIU membership, which means IPU's degree is recognized, is valid throughout the world. There are around 95 colleges which are located not only in Delhi, but also in NCR. When I say NCR, NCR means National Capital Region, which includes the districts adjoining Delhi. So students, you must be aware that Delhi is surrounded by Uttar Pradesh in 40% of the region and Haryana in 60% of the region. Delhi is surrounded by two states, Uttar Pradesh and Haryana. Now, the adjoining districts of these two states, be it Ghaziabad, Gautam Budh Nagar, which includes Noida, Greater Noida, then Faridabad, Gurugram, all these districts are included in NCR, and IPU has got colleges which are affiliated with it in Delhi and NCR, right? Probably your principal ma'am organized this presentation because IPU has got colleges. Your school is in Ghaziabad. So IPU has got colleges which are affiliated with it in Gautam Budh Nagar, Noida, Greater Noida, all these areas which are close to your school. So that is the purpose why Shashi ma'am organized this webinar. As far as the number of courses are concerned, IPU has got 80 courses, about which I am going to discuss in the second part of this presentation. And the number of students is 80,000. Students, please mind it. Today we are representing IPU, which is a Delhi government university. The purpose is not to blow the trumpet of IPU. The purpose is to provide you information which is authentic, which can be verified by you. Okay. If the ranking is 95th, I can't say it is 94th even. So the purpose is to provide you information, nothing else. Moving ahead. Now, IPU is known for what? There are two major universities run in Delhi. One is University of Delhi, another is IPU. Now, both these are run by government. So do they compete with each other? The answer is no. How? Because University of Delhi is all about academic courses, and IPU is a university which was started with a view to promote professional courses. So while University of Delhi and IPU are the two major universities in Delhi, with having more than 90 colleges affiliated or constituent part of that, both these do not compete, rather they complement each other in the sense that University of Delhi runs academic courses while IPU runs professional courses. So let us understand the difference between an academic and a professional course before going ahead. So this is a very simple way to compare or to understand what is an academic course and what is a professional course. An academic course like BA History Honors or Psychology Honors or Sociology Honors provides you knowledge, and therefore the output is knowledge enhancement. Agreed. But a professional course trains you for a specific job, and it provides you knowledge, number one. Second, how to apply that. And third, it provides you the corporate ready attitude, right? And therefore the output of a professional course is a job. It is not training you for any competition, right? So I'll take an example to make this point clear. BA History Honors, is it training you for any specific job? The answer is no. While a course like BTech Computer Science or Hotel Management or BBA or Journalism trains you for a specific job. So a professional course trains you for a specific job, while an academic course enhances your knowledge. But then the point is that what is the need of the hour? So my dear students, you must have, you are aware of these three words called LPG: liberalization, privatization, globalization. These three words, India ventured on the path of LPG in 1991 when Manmohan Singh ji was the finance minister. And after LPG, what happened? The government sector withdrew from many areas. It shrank, and the private sector expanded. And the private sector needs what? People who are ready to work, or people who are trained in something like history or sociology or psychology? Well, the answer is very simple. In private sector, jobs are there for people who are ready to work, who are ready to deliver. And that is the reason why the need for professional courses is much, much higher these days as compared to the need for academic courses. So to conclude this slide, IPU and University of Delhi, two major universities run by the government in Delhi. One is for professional courses and another is for academic courses. The next section is, I'll not say for your entertainment, but yes, it is something which is little interesting. And in this section, we are going to talk about the notable alumni of IPU. It started in 1998, but it has got people who have done wonders in their own careers. So the first alumni is, I am sure, Madam Shashi Sharma is fan of this alumni. She's Tapsi Pannu. She did her BTech Computer Science from IPU, and she needs no further introduction. Yes, I am also a fan of Tapsi, like Dr. Shalini and Shashi ma'am. Then Gaurav Sharma is also another popular alumni of IPU. He's a well-known author. If someone is fond of reading books, you must be aware of books like God of the Salid and Gone Are the Days. Then the deputy leader of Congress in Lok Sabha, Mr. Gaurav Gogoi, also did his BTech in electronics from IPU. And then all of us have heard about movies like Gangs of Wasepur and Lunchbox and Masan, very, very, popular theme-based movies. So these were produced by Guneet Monga, who again did her BJMC from IPU. So the list is very long, but I have to take the second part of the presentation now. Well, the second part is about the courses. As I said, IPU is known for professional courses. It does not excel in academic courses. So this is the link given about the information brochure. Incidentally, today is also the last date for applying for IPU courses. Of course, when I say today, in the internet age, it means till 11 p.m. 59 minutes on 31st of July. The date may be extended. I don't know, because of COVID, dates are being extended. But while I am speaking, the last date is 31st July, रात को 11:59. Okay. Now talking about the courses. As I said, professional courses, yes. Now let us divide professional courses into categories. One are those professional courses which do not need any specific discipline in 12th class. We call them stream neutral courses. While there are courses which need a specific discipline in 12th class, we call them stream specific courses. So in the first slide, I talk about the stream neutral courses. So while it is BA LLB 5-year integrated or BBA LLB 5-year integrated or journalism and mass comm or BBA or hotel management and catering technology, all these do not require any discipline at your 12th. You may have done your 12th in humanities, commerce, maths, biology, or even vocational. You are eligible for these courses, right? So talking a little more about these courses. Now, integrated courses is something which is not very old in our country. While I did my graduation in 1993, I did not know about these integrated courses because they were not there. Now, the beauty of these integrated courses, the significance of these integrated courses is that you get 2 degrees together and you save 1 year. Say, for example, if you do BBA LLB or BA LLB, you get BA and LLB in 5 years, or BBA and LLB in 5 years. You save 1 year. That is the first advantage. The second is you choose your career right after 12th. Say, for example, you first do BA and then you do LLB. Then in that case, your career path is not chosen till you complete your BA. So the significance or the reason why integrated courses have suddenly shot to fame, they have become very popular, is that, or rather I can say that when I talk about IPU, BLLB, BBLLB are very popular courses of IPU because you choose your career right after 12th and you save 1 year. You get 2 degrees in 5 years. Then journalism and mass comm, BBA and hotel management. So these are all the stream neutral courses. The second category is stream specific courses. Say, for example, BTech or architecture. For these courses, you need to have mathematics at your 12th, or specifically you need PCM at your 12th. Without that, you cannot take admission in these courses. Then we have biology courses like pharmacy or nursing. Friends, IPU also has got MBBS, Ayurved and homeopath courses, which are not included in this site. So for all these courses, pharmacy, nursing, MBBS, Ayurved, homeopath, you need biology at your 12th. So this is the second part of the presentation, the professional courses run by IPU. Let us move on to the third part. Now, before that, one more thing about these courses. This is the link which is given. If anybody wants to register, you can simply click on this link, submit 1200 rupees, and you are registered for IPU, for which the last date is today. Now, these courses are divided into 2 categories further. One for which IPU conducts its own entrance exam. Second, for which national level exams are available. And therefore, IPU says that there should not be any duplication. So let us consider the scores of the national level exams. Otherwise, the student will be filling up multiple forms and paying multiple fee. So for example, engineering JEE is a nationally recognized exam. So IPU says that we will not conduct our exam for engineering. The scores of JEE are considered by IPU per se, right? Then for law courses, CLAT is there, for which the result was announced yesterday only. So IPU does not conduct its own entrance. It is the CLAT score which is considered by IPU. Then for architecture also, the NATA scores are considered. For MBBS, the NEET scores are considered. Okay, so 2 categories. One for which national level exams are available. So IPU says we will not conduct any of our own exam. Let us go by the scores of the national level exam so that the student does not fill multiple forms. But for courses like BHMCT, journalism, BBA, BCA, IPU conducts its own exam. Probably because for journalism or BBA, no national level exam is available. So that's about the courses. Now, due to COVID, this special provision has been given. We don't know when the wave 3 can come. Experts say it will come in September. We all of us are praying to God that it should not come. But then there's a special provision due to this fear of COVID-3 that you can visit any nearby college, maybe in Noida or Greater Noida, and you can instantly get admission in IPU course. Of course, the appearing at these exams remains a mandatory condition. Or in other words, I'm saying that without having appeared at these exams, IPU will not give any admission to any student. IPU is very strict and rigid about these exams. So that was the second part of the presentation, the professional courses available at IPU. Okay, so what is this? Well, yes, I must talk about the fee structures of IPU because it's your parents' hard-earned money, and therefore you must be aware of what are the fee structures. So this is the general range. IPU is a university run by government. This is the general range. All these courses have fee structures between 80,000 and 1,10,000. For example, for BA LLB or BBA LLB, the fee is simply 80,000. For BTech, it may be 1,05,000 or something like that. But this is the general range. IPU is not like private universities which are charging hefty fee. I cannot name private universities in Delhi NCR region which are charging very high fee. So IPU probably among all the universities has the lowest fee structure. 80,000 per year is as good as what students are paying in their schools. And then no hidden charges is another important point, because it is something which is always at the back of our mind, that initially someone may something and then later on they may charge additionally for placement or picnic or anything. So being a government university, no college affiliated with IPU can charge even a single rupee extra other than the fee structure given. So there are no hidden charges. That's about the third part of the presentation, the fee structures. Now, when we talk about scholarships, students, do you know Delhi government is the richest government in this country? Yes, in terms of per capita income, Delhi stands first in India. And the students get advantage of that. Advantage in terms of very good scholarships available by Delhi government. So we find that there is a, in general, we find that scholarships are there for reserved category students. But yes, Delhi government is the one which is providing very good scholarships for general category students also. So we have something called merit cum means. We call it MCM. So MCM is for general category students. Yes, there are income slabs. So if someone's parents have income which is 5,90,000, then in that case, 25% of your tuition fee will be paid by the Delhi government. Of course, there are two conditions. You need to be a good student, and good student means what? 60% and above and no reappear. Yes, money doesn't come, money doesn't grow on trees. So the government must impose these conditions that you should have 60% and no reappear. This is about MCM scholarships. Then for economically weaker sections, or what we call the BPL card holders, 100% scholarship are available. They need to pay fee only for the first semester. After that, they are fully funded by the government of Delhi. Remember, 60% and no reappear. So that was about the fee part. Students, we have come to the last part of the presentation now. The scope, the career avenues available after these courses. So first I'll talk about the law courses, these integrated courses, BA LLB, BBA LLB. How do we understand the career avenues after these courses? Well, as far as law is concerned, there are 4 areas in which a law graduate can work. First is your own practice. Okay, put on a black coat. My coat is not exactly black. Huh? So put on a black coat and start practicing. That is the best way and the first career option. Second, you can join a job with a law firm. Third, you can join judiciary. You can become a magistrate. And fourth is politics. Why do I say politics for law students? Because you look around, you look within our country, outside our country, Jawaharlal Nehru, Mahatma Gandhi, Sardar Patel, all of them were law graduates. You go to USA, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, the recently elected Indian Vice President of the United States of America, she again is a advocate. So therefore, I tell my students that for law graduates, there are 4 career avenues: practicing, put on a black coat, start practicing, best way, join a law firm, then become a magistrate, or join politics. That is how I define the scope of law courses. Coming to BBA, there are 3 traditional areas in which a BBA works: marketing, finance, and HR. Yes, these 3 areas are all encompassing, and these 3 areas are spread throughout the world. We live in a mismanaged world, and therefore managers are needed everywhere. I must say that Ma'am Shashi Sharma is a very good manager. Why? Because she thought of organizing a program through which students can be given authentic information, and therefore she invited IPU for this program. So this means that the management is good, because providing correct information, we are living in an era of information overflow. From everywhere we find information is coming, right or wrong, we really do not know. So organizing a webinar, having provided authentic information, speaks about good management. So when I talk about the scope of management courses, yes, marketing, finance, and HR are the 3 areas in which a person can get a career avenue after a management course like BBA or even after MBA. Talking about hotel management, again, there are 3 areas in which a student can find a job. One is when you enter a hotel, front office, right? Second is housekeeping. Third is food and beverage, the kitchen. These are the 3 areas in which a hotel management professional can make a career. Then talking about technology. Yes, students, here I have something important to tell you. Well, technology is very much pattern oriented. Pattern in the sense that means technology comes and it goes. It comes, it goes. So when India became independent, civil engineering was at the top. Then electrical went at the top. Then mechanical, because manufacturing was expanding in India. But what is happening today? Well, in the post-COVID era, or even before that, 8% of India's GDP is contributed by the IT sector, which simply means that as on date, the scope for computer science and electronics is immense as compared to civil, mechanical, or electrical. I can safely say that. And yes, in the post-COVID era, digitization is going to come up in a big, big way. And who's going to lead that wave of digitization? My dear students, computer science engineers. So therefore, when I talk about the scope of BTech, I am referring to the scope of BTech computer science. I must say that the scope of civil or electrical or mechanical is less. I'm not saying very less, but it is less as compared to computer science. And I can tell you the scope of computer science is going to be great in the coming 4 to 5 decades. Why? Because digitization in a country like India is just tip of the iceberg. Nothing has been done till now. A lot has to be done. And who's going to lead that wave of digitization? Computer science engineers. So therefore, this defines the scope of BTech. As far as architecture is concerned, students, while you travel in Ghaziabad, you find 40-storied buildings like Saya apartment at Indrapuram. And yes, architects are behind that building. While you travel, you find roads, bridges, beautiful buildings, White House, Brown House, whatever. All these are designed by architects. So that defines the scope of career scope after an architecture course. Coming to pharmacy, well, medicine is a field which unfortunately is growing. Why? Because the diseases are growing. So although we pray to God that this field should not grow, but still it is growing. Why? Because of whatever environmental changes or global warming. Yes, like bodily biological problems are increasing, and therefore the scope of pharmacy is also increasing. So, and in the post-COVID era, I believe governments are going to invest much larger money in the pharmacy sector. Presently, the investments in health sector are very less by the governments. I think the the overall world average is less than 2% of GDP. So governments are going to invest in the pharma sector, and that defines the scope of B Pharma. Nursing is something which again needs little explanation, because generally we attach a taboo with nursing. We say that it is a low profile job. Please, I must correct your perception today that it is not a low profile job, my dear students. Nurses, and when I say nurses, it is a gender neutral word. Don't think that nurse is a female word. Nurses are respected, highly paid throughout the world. You go to Gulf, you go to Europe, you go to USA, Indian nurses are very well paid, highly respected. So don't attach a taboo, don't consider nursing as a low profile job. So that is about the scope of various professional courses run by IPU. I have not talked about the scope of MBBS or homeopath or Ayurveda because of time constraint. But these courses are available with IPU. So we are now closing this presentation, students. And this question is coming in everyone's mind: which course is best for me? So what do you think? I'm going to answer that question, that A is good for you, B is not good for you. Should I behave like the brilliant counselors who talk with the student and in a 5-minute interaction, they tell about your entire future? No. As a counselor, look, I have been a counselor since a quarter of the century. I started counseling in 1996, and I can tell you, in every course, in every area, the output is like this. What is this diagram showing? Say in the middle part, majority of the people are there, and towards the left and right, less number of people are there. You do any course, you pursue any career, 25% of students, they succeed partially. I'll not say they fail, but they succeed partially. Okay. Another 25%, they achieve like filmy kind of success. And then there are the majority 50% who achieve success, who are happy and satisfied in their lives. So majority 50%, whichever career you check, you can see any course, any career, 50% they are successful, happy and satisfied. 25% very successful, superstars. And then 25%, they are not very successful. So how do we define, this is the last slide now, what is the formula for success? So the formula for success, my dear students, even God cannot tell you. Yes, even God can't tell you the formula for success, because I'll quote a dialogue by Rajesh Khanna from the film Bawarchi. Rajesh Khanna says that it is so simple to be happy. It is so simple to be happy, but it is very difficult to be simple. So success is defined like that. So therefore, the formula for success is very simple, but it is difficult to follow that formula. So this is how, to end this presentation, I define the formula for success, students. Anyone who has got the right set of knowledge, anyone who knows how to apply that knowledge, means has the right set of skills, and anyone who has got a good attitude, success is yours. The world is waiting for you to welcome you with open arms. Thank you. Thank you for being a good audience.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. I would also like to further add that sir has mentioned about the various career options in law, media, and all in brief, but we are conducting the elaborate sessions like these, like 1-hour sessions on career options in law, career options in media, and the other thing also. So depending upon the feedback of students, we can conduct another webinar where we will be talking only about one field, right? Wherever maximum of the students would be interested in, the principal ma'am would give us the permission, so we can again conduct the webinar. Now, having said that, all the students, I am requesting you to please type your questions in the chat box in case you have. We have already got few questions which I will be taking, but you can further write your questions in the chat box. So, sir, the first question which I am getting is from a student. Hello, teacher. Myself, Prem Kumar from PNN Mohan Public School. I want to be the CA in the future. So can you please tell me the path which I should follow after 12th grade? I have to do the graduation or should I do direct CA foundation?
Okay, so CA is a degree which is equivalent to post-graduation. Okay, but then the general trend, there are two ways in which you can do CA. It is conducted by ICAI, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. One way is that after 12th, you appear for CA foundation, okay, and you start your CA. But then what the general trend is that you appear for CA foundation, you start your CA intern. Parallel to that, you take admission in a course which may add something like BBA or BBA LLB. Now, while you complete your graduation, you complete your CA intern and then you go for CA final. So in the end, we find that you have CA plus you have BBA or BBA LLB or even MBA. So this is the general trend, because I'll tell you why this is the general trend. Because students, CA is a little risky degree in the sense that I know many people who could complete their intern, but they could not complete their final due to whatsoever reason. So therefore, CA always needs a backup plan. And that backup plan is the graduation course which you do parallel to CA. So to conclude this question, I'll say that you take admission, you appear for CA foundation, you take admission in CA after 12th. Parallel to that, you take admission in something like BBA or BBA LLB or BA LLB or BCom, anything, right? Better, rather than BCom, a professional course is better. You take admission in that. In 3 years, you get one degree, say BBA, you complete your CA intern. Then you go for MBA and you complete your CA final. Mind it, CA needs a backup plan.
Thank you, sir. Another question is, I am interested in computers like programming. So is it beneficial to do MCA or learn programming, as I am the commerce student?
Commerce student, okay. So yes, BTech option is closed for you because for BTech we need PCM. I'll just find out if a commerce student can take admission in BCA. I think, okay, yes. BCA is the best suitable option for you because BCA is a course which is a professional course, a computer-oriented course, and for which mathematics is not required. So if you are a commerce student and you want to go into programming, you take admission in BCA. That would suit you the best. After that, you can go for MCA.
Right. Sir, another question from Tushita. She is asking, good morning, please describe about HR.
Okay, so yes, HR is something which is more popular among the girls, although I don't agree with that. But in general, we find that between marketing, finance, and HR, marketing is more popular among boys and HR is more popular among girls. But that's a wrong perception, because there should not be something like A task is specially for boys and B specially for girls. That kind of concept should not be there. If you want to make a career in HR, the best course is BBA LLB, because a HR professional has a very good career if he or she has a legal degree. So you go for BBA LLB, 5-year, okay, and then you go for MBA HR. So you have a law degree and you have MBA HR. I think that would be the best advice to you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, another question is, what are the internship and placement facilities in IP University?
Students, we live in Delhi NCR, and Delhi NCR is the hub of the manufacturing. It's the hub of services sector. All the companies have their headquarters, offices. So I must tell you that arranging an internship or placement for colleges in Delhi NCR is very easy as compared to the colleges which are located in the interior cities of our country. Say, for example, if a college is at Bareilly or Pathankot or Jodhpur or Bhopal, then for them it is little difficult to arrange internships and placements. But the colleges which are located in Delhi NCR, it's quite easy to arrange internships for them. Say, for example, your college is located in Ghaziabad, and Ghaziabad again is an industrial hub. Right from my school days, I have heard about Dabur in Ghaziabad. There are so many companies I can name, so many which are located in nearby places, be it Havels or TCS or IBM or Dabur. The list means all the companies are located, and therefore for the colleges which are located in Delhi NCR, internships and placements are very easy. They are geographically at a very advantageous position vis-a-vis the colleges which are located in the interior cities of our country. So that's not a problem.
Right. Sir, another question Gagan is asking, if I leave maths in class 11th, will it be affecting my career in commerce?
Yes, it will be affecting, because for BCom honors, maths is required.
Yeah.
That's a necessary condition. So don't be afraid of maths. But I don't know why everyone is afraid of maths. We say that in life, for succeeding, like two basic things are required, English and maths, because these two things are nothing. One is language, another is logic. So don't be afraid of these two things. If you want to make a career with BCom honors, yes, for BBA, maths is not required, but for BCom honors, maths is a prerequisite at 12th.
Right. Sir, another student is asking, I've heard that IP University has 85% domicile rule for Delhi students. So what is the chance that I stand?
Yes, for students, first thing is, how do we determine the domicile at IPU? The way to determine is not your Aadhaar card or your ration card or your election card. It is the geographical location of the school from which you have done your 12th. So any school which is in Mayur Vihar, say your home may be at Ghaziabad, but the school from which you have done your 12th is located in Mayur Vihar, you will be treated as a Delhi student. On the other hand, if you live in Dilshad Garden, but your school is in Ghaziabad, you will be treated as a non-Delhi student. So the criteria is not your domicile, not your Aadhaar, not your election card, not your ration card, but the school from which you have done your 12th. Okay. Having said that, yes, students of this school, this is located in Ghaziabad, no?
Yes. Yes.
So
sir.
the students of this school, they fall in non-Delhi category, and therefore they do fall in the 15% category, not in the 85% Delhi category. But now try to understand this point in little detail. It's a very important technical issue. See students, the concept is called son of the soil concept. Son of the soil means the colleges in UP will have 85% quota for UP students and 15% for rest of India. When it comes to Delhi, the colleges belonging to Delhi will have 85% quota for Delhi students, 15% for rest of India. To quote one more example, a college located in Haryana will have 85% quota for Haryana students and 15% for rest of India. So we call it son of the soil concept. Means the people belonging to that place are given 85% quota and rest of India students are given 15% quota. Okay. But now let me tell you, this concept becomes irrelevant after a particular stage. How does it become irrelevant? Say, for example, IPU conducts its online counselings. So counseling 1, 2, 3, yes, 15, 85, the walls are there. Students who have done their 12th from PNN school will fall in the 15% quota. But after this, there is something called spot counseling. Spot counseling is the last counseling. In that counseling, 15 and 85% quotas, they merge together. So students from PNN school get 100% quota in the spot counseling. So eventually all these quotas merge and they become irrelevant. Moreover, this year in 2021, because of COVID, the special provision of sport admission is there. You may visit any college in Ghaziabad or Noida or Greater Noida. These categories are not there because of COVID. You can visit the college, finalize your admission then and there. On the spot admissions are available due to COVID. So you can take advantage of that. But to conclude this point, these quotas are irrelevant. Eventually they merge. So forget about these quotas. These are irrelevant after the counselings. when it comes to sport counseling, all these quotas, they vanish, they become irrelevant.
Thank you so much, sir. I have few other questions also, but because of the paucity of time, I think we need to conclude the session. So students, I have written these numbers in the chat box. Okay, I'm just writing it as it has gone only to Tushita who had asked the last question. So I'm writing it again: 704266751 and 7951. So the numbers are there on your screen in the chat box. So you can save these numbers and you can directly talk to our admission counselors if you want to know anything about the courses which are being offered by the IP University. Right. So with this, we would conclude this session. Thank you so much for you have been a very patient listeners, and the kind of questions that you have asked, it shows your involvement. So thank you, students, for attending the session on Saturday. Thank you, Principal Ma'am. Thank you so much for allowing us to host, to conduct this webinar in your school for your school students. Thank you. And thank you, Ravi sir, for the wonderful presentation. I'm sure that the student must have got certain guidance on their career options. So thank you one and all. Thank you so much. Thank you.